Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel. And today, now the sawdust has settled, I thought I'd show you the plans for my polytunnel and some changes to the arrangements for my shed and water collection and all of that sort of thing. So yeah, let's take a look in a second. So the big thing that we did was we chopped down two really big apple trees and one smaller apple tree. They weren't delivering, just grubs in all the apples. The eater apples were just horrible, mealy things, not worth eating. And I basically spent most of my summer and autumn just picking up windfall apples and chopping them up and putting them on the compost bin and raking up leaves. It was just a complete waste of time. So we've opened up the space, and that allows us to put a big polytunnel in. It does mean a bit of rework on the plot, so I'll show you around. So this is the area that was occupied by the trees, and I'll show you where the actual tree stumps are in a second. But it's where I'm standing now, shooting the video, is roughly south, and so you can see it's going to be perfectly situated to get plenty of light. The far side is going to be about 18 inches away from that pallet fence, and it's going to be about 10 foot wide and 20 foot long. I'll talk about what we're going to do inside it in a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's just show you the stumps. So you can see from the size, this was a pretty substantial tree, and it actually had two really big branches. You can see this one here branching off that went right up here and over my shed, and then this trunk here went right up here and basically covered a big part of this grassy area here. And then this little apple tree, it wasn't too bad, this one, and didn't really get so much in the way, but as I say, the apples were pretty much uneatable. And then the third stump was down here, and again it's you can see it's a fairly substantial stump, and that tree went up here and covered kind of this area here where the strawberries were. So apologies, it looks a bit of a mess at the moment, but I will tidy it up. In fact, I've already tidied this area up, so I feel a lot better having done that. A bit of a neat freak, I'm afraid to say. Right, so first thing, this water butt here is going to be moved so that it's in line with those two other water butts, and then it'll be connected together using similar connector to that one. These water butts are fed from the shed roof. So yeah, the water butt's going to go there, roughly where that blue bin is at the moment. Now obviously all of this, where this stump is, all of this raised bed area will disappear, and that raised bed is only really there because I couldn't grass this area, and I didn't just want to just had the weeds in it were just horrendous, and I couldn't dig them out because of the roots of the trees. So I basically put a 4-inch mulch of wood chips and stuff down, contained by that raised bed, and it did really successfully kill all the weeds. So obviously all of this bed will disappear. That stump will be dug out, and this bin will go, and that will create a much nicer area here outside of my shed. Now obviously I'm going to need a lot of water, so I'm going to extend the roof of the shed, as you can see roughly where I've put that piece of wood, and so the shed roof will go right out there, covering those three, where those three water butts are at the moment, and that will add 2.5 times the area that's currently collecting water. So that will be a substantial improvement. The shed does already capture a reasonable amount, but with that extension it should capture quite a lot. I can of course put a gutter on the sideboard of the polytunnel if I need to get more water. So what then? So the polytunnel is going to go from roughly where that watering can is there to where that watering can is down there in the distance, basically at the end of that cloche. So it's going to start effectively just after where that stump is, about a foot after that probably, and it's going to go over that whole area, if I can kind of get it in the photograph there. So there will be an entrance here, a door here where I'm standing now, and there'll be a door at the other end, effectively where that compost bin is, and that compost bin will just move over to there. And so it will be good access, and because there's two doors you can open both of those up and there'll be a bit of airflow through the polytunnel. And these beds obviously will go, and this strawberry bed will go. So what am I going to do with the strawberries? I'm planning to put them in tubs, big tubs like I grow my potatoes in, maybe 3 strawberry plants to a tub, and I'm going to have those strawberries inside the polytunnel at the beginning of the year, you know, over winter and early spring, so I get early strawberries, and then they're going to come out and be stored somewhere on the plots, I don't know where, during summer, and then the perpetuals can go back into the polytunnel in autumn, and then they'll keep going to the last frost, so I'll extend the season again. Those 2 beds will come out, and I think I will use those to convert this bed here to a coal frame. So they're all the same size, so all the beds will just stack on top of each other. So I think that's what I'll do, and I might use the spare wood for something else. And obviously all of the soil that's in these could potentially be used to fill the beds that are in the polytunnel. So what's going in the polytunnel? Well, in the centre, which is just about where I'm standing at the moment, there's going to be a sort of 5-foot square, maybe a bit bigger, area where we can sit, where I can put up a table to do potting, and where I can put the strawberry plants in winter, you know, all sorts of, and you know, early potatoes and all of that sort of thing. So it's just a flexible, reasonably large space that we can use for whatever we want to use it for. There's going to be a centre aisle running from one door to the next. There's going to be a long bed about the same size as this bed here, which is going to, and it's going to be about the same size as this bed actually, just a touch longer, and it's going to be for tomatoes and cucumbers and, you know, all of those sorts of things, so things that are high, and because it's things that are high, it's going to go against the back wall where the pellet fence is. And then there's going to be 4 other beds, 2 small ones and 2 fairly big ones, running along this side, with little tiny paths between them, just for access. And those are going to be used for all sorts of experimental things, which I won't go into right now. So that is a rough outline of everything that's going to go on. And I won't be able to really start doing very much until I can empty the water butts and move them, and that's not going to happen until we get water on the site again, which happens in April, I think. Sometime in April anyway, I can't exactly remember. But at the moment they're all full of water, so I obviously can't move them. So then that bed will have to be dug out. As much of that stump as I can get out, I'll try and get out, but it's not actually necessary for me to get it out given this plan. Water butt will be moved. obviously all this bed here will be levelled, ready for the polytunnel. These beds will come out, well the strawberries will go into these big pots, the beds will come out, this bed will come out. There's nothing much in it at the moment, so I won't plant it up. I'm going to be using the wood from here to make a flower border that goes on the outside of my site. So you can see here, I kind of got an area down here where all this wood is at the moment. And I want to make a proper bordered flower bed here that clearly divides where my plot is and where the grass path is. Lets me reseed this grass path because the flower border is badly encroached onto the grass path. Make it much easier for strimming and all of that sort of thing. And just easier to mulch it, because at the moment if I mulch it, all the mulch just goes onto the grass, so it's not great. Anyway, I've got that wood, so that's what I'm going to use it for. And that's pretty much it. Put the base plates in, hopefully sometime in spring, and actually get the polytunnel up and running in late spring, and that means it's all ready to go in summer. Well, obviously I'm not actually probably going to get it planted with tomatoes this year, cucumbers or anything like that, but if I get it all finished in summer, then obviously I can get it planted up with all my winter crops. So that is the plan, and I'm not really going to lose very much. I'm still going to keep the strawberries. This little bed here is not particularly productive. It wasn't, because a lot, the shade from the trees. It's not very big. It's hard. It's hard there as well because we don't have much space to get through. So it was kind of always annoying me because we were always tripping over it or whatever. So moving that will actually create a little bit of space, so that'll be good. The polytunnel won't actually come up right up against this path. There'll be a little bit of a gap. So, okay, that is the plan. I hope you found that interesting, and I would love comments and suggestions, because never had a polytunnel before, only been gardening for 18 months, only had one full season, so I'm very much a newbie, but I think it should be fun. Lots of possibilities, and somewhere nice to shelter when it rains. Okay, I'll see you soon.